Thank you for spending the week with me in these messages from Luke 24. I'm going to finish out the story now. This is after the disciples have recognized the Lord and he's left them. That same hour, they got up and returned to Jerusalem, and they found the 11 and their companions gathered together. They were saying, "The Lord has risen indeed and has appeared to Simon." Then they told what had happened on the road and how he had been made known to them in the breaking of the bread. So, you're all fired up with good news. You're set to tell your friends, and before you can get it out, they tell you exactly what you were about to tell them. Before you can get it out, "Nebraska won!" They tell you, "Hey, the Huskers won!" Okay, that wouldn't be news. Everybody would know it as soon as it had happened. But this is the 21st century. In the first century, when events weren't live streamed, word of mouth was the way news was spread. So Cleopas and the other disciple had every reason to believe that they were returning to Jerusalem with good news. And they must have been eager to share the news because they had just arrived in Emmaus after walking from Jerusalem. It was growing dark, there were no street lights, and there were robbers on the road. Well, that didn't stop them. They headed straight back to Jerusalem. They actually probably ran some of it. They were so excited with the news that Jesus had indeed risen from the dead. And before they can get it out of their mouths, the crowd of disciples says to them, "The Lord is risen indeed." You know the ancient Christian Easter greeting. We use it every Sunday during the season of Easter. "The Lord is risen. The Lord is risen indeed." Well, they don't get out, "The Lord is risen," before the others are saying, "The Lord is risen indeed." Finally, the folks in Jerusalem settle down, and then Cleopas and his companion get to tell their story, how they had had a Bible school lesson from Jesus himself on the road, and how he had shown them who he was in the breaking of the bread. Synchronicity, one of my teachers called it, when two events come together and make a complete experience. I wonder, when you and I look back on this very strange Holy Week and Easter that we've had, what synchronicity will we be able to describe? What events have come together? What lessons did we learn on the road? What did we taste when we took part in the breaking of the bread? This year, I've spent more time in prayer than I usually do. I hope I don't lose that. I hope that you and I will see touches and traces of the Lord as we look back on this COVID-19 emergency, especially on these last 2 weeks of Holy Week and Easter week. And I pray that we will know the synchronicity of barely getting out the words, "Christ is risen," before the answer quickly comes, "Christ is risen indeed."